What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. We have some new programs coming from Congress and President Donald Trump that are going to provide billions and billions of dollars of relief for Americans. We actually have a couple different new ones that I'm going to go over here for you guys in this video that are in the works or a lot of people are not aware of. Yeah, so let me fill you in right now as we're live right here on the It's Jimmy Show on YouTube. Let me know if you can see and hear me. Type yes in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. You can let me know your city, state, or even your country, as we have people tuning in here from all around the globe. Don't forget to hit that like button for me, and if you haven't yet, subscribe down below so you don't miss out on future videos. First, the impending government shutdown that will happen here at the end of the week has a lot of problems here. Democrats don't want funding for ICE and DHS, but they also want to get health care. Republicans and Democrats need to figure out how to lower health care prices as they're now skyrocketing because the health care subsidies are gone for millions and millions of Americans. This is set to raise health care costs for a lot of Americans. And there is actually a bipartisan health package likely moving forward, which is probably what will need to be done to prevent the government shutdown or to end it, as it's probably going to happen and could go for a long time. Congressional negotiators are expected to release a bipartisan health care package as soon as today that revives major parts of a deal that was torpedoed in late 2024 by Elon Musk and then President-elect Donald Trump. The agreement would include long-stalled priorities like an overhaul of business practices of pharmacy benefit managers, aka the middlemen, between drug manufacturers and insurers, and new controls on how hospitals bill for outpatient services, according to sources familiar. This package does not include an extension of the ACA Affordable Care Act subsidies or Obamacare subsidies, which Democrats want but has hit resistance from Republicans, and that might be a problem for the government shutdown vote. A bipartisan group of senators still is proceeding on a separate track to find a compromise on the health care subsidies to lower health care costs, which expired at the end of 2025, though it appears there's not enough Republican support to pass. It is expected to include language aimed at lowering prescription drug prices that would no longer base PBM's compensation on the price of a drug in Medicare Part D, which critics have said discourages the use of cheaper treatments when available. Another provision would take a preliminary step to addressing Medicare hospital spending by requiring hospital outpatient departments to have unique identifier numbers in an effort to prevent overbilling. And overbilling is a problem. I literally just seen a video of a woman who just had a baby, and she had some complications and stuff like that. She spent some days in the hospital, just like my wife did actually, after giving birth. And her bill for the birth of the baby, take a guess at what it was, because it was insane. Yeah, it wasn't 10 or 20,000 or 30,000 or 40 or 50,000. It wasn't even 100,000. It was $243,000 for having given birth to a baby. And some complications, which it happens to many women. I mean, it literally happened to my wife. And $243,000, just the average American cannot afford that. I mean, healthcare costs are insane, and something needs to be done. Remember, the United States is the only first world country that doesn't actually just give healthcare to their residents. But paying for it is, well, a different problem. Next up, surprisingly, Republicans are pitching student loan repayment programs as Americans struggle to keep up with bills. Republicans say their new repayment policies focus on borrowers who need the most help. This is different than the student loan just waiving of debt, which President Biden did, which a lot of people don't realize, but if you watch my show, you do, that there was a lot of people getting their student loans waived from the previous administration and it actually totaled, according to the Education Department, the Biden administration has approved a total of $188.8 billion in student loan forgiveness for over 5.3 million borrowers since taking office. Now, Republicans are coming up with their own plan, albeit different, as Republicans pitch student loan repayments as Americans struggle to keep up with bills. When people are working hard, working long hours, trying to support a family, and then having to figure out, okay, what exactly is the latest regulatory change when it comes to my student loans, I think that's a challenge coming from the Education Department. Growing concerns about the cost of living appear to have captured the attention of the Education Department and the Trump administration, which paused the seizure of wages and tax refunds from borrowers with past due loans last week. Education Secretary made an announcement about the topics of intercepting the money if people are struggling financially. This move marks a change after the department sent notices earlier this month to thousands of borrowers that their wages would be garnished. Quote, people just stopped paying. And while the problem with student loan repayments is that people take out a student loan when they're 18 years old, and literally if they pay the minimum payment, which is a lot of people do, they have that loan 20 plus years later. They're going into their 40s sometimes, 50s sometimes with these student loans, and it's a debt burden that they can't climb out of. What do you think? Should the government step in and help people there? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Next up, President Donald Trump said that there would be a 10% interest cap rate on credit card interest, and it would be only as high as 10% starting January 20th. But this didn't happen. And major banks like J.P. Morgan Chase, the U.S.'s largest bank by dollars, says banks could fight Trump's credit card cap rate and, quote, everything is on the table. Banks and industry insiders say a proposed 10% cap on credit card interest rates would result in fewer credit card accounts for Americans and a dip in spending on the U.S. economy. Banks are saying if you wind up with weekly supportive directives to radically change our business model that aren't justified, you have to assume that everything's on the table. We owe that to shareholders. Banks were responding to a question about whether banks would choose to litigate to block Trump's demand that card companies cap interest rates at 10% for a year minimum. Last year, the industry successfully fought efforts by the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, which President Donald Trump then gutted, to cap credit card late fees, which would have been good for many Americans, but that's now out the window too. Banks and industry insiders say that interest rate limit would result in fewer credit card accounts for Americans, a dip in spending for the U.S. economy, and companies would simply pull accounts rather than offer them at an unprofitable level. The average credit card this says 20%, some I've seen higher, according to a weekly survey at bankrate.com. And rates for subprime borrowers and store-specific cards are typically higher than 20%. Banks are saying, quote, instead of lowering the price of credit, the interest rate, they will simply reduce the supply of credit. And that will be bad for everyone, consumers, the wider economy, and yes, at a margin for the banks. There is a bill in Congress that has Republican and Democrat support, sponsored by Senator Josh Hawley and Bernie Sanders, that would limit credit card interest rate at 10% for at least a year. For at least 5 years on this bill. But the bill did not pass in Congress yet. Now, of course, if you ask the average American about credit card interest rates, they're too high. But from banks' point of view, that, a lot of these things, they don't have a recourse on credit card. If you go and take a $5,000 vacation, you put it on a credit card, the bank can't, come and repo that. It's not like a car loan or a home loan where they can repo the house, or repossess the house or the car, foreclose on it, or and take back property. With credit card interest rates, credit cards are mostly unsecured, And that's banks have a higher risk there. People, rack up $10,000 in credit card debt, $20,000 in credit card debt. They can't go reclaim the food that they bought, go reclaim the couch that they bought. It's just banks aren't in the business of reclaiming old couches and stuff. Not that they're going to really get anything for it anyways. So herein lies the problem that the average American is struggling with debt, whether it be student loan debt, credit card debt, higher interest rates for mortgages and car loans, which we're going to potentially see come down here as we have a Fed meeting this week, and I will keep you up to date on that. But, the U.S. economy is hurting. Remember, the U.S. government is paying about $1 trillion a year in debt as well. A lot of that because interest rates went up, and they started paying higher interest rates on debt too, which meant more money. Now, I think this is important to bring up. Every year, too many seniors learn that their existing Medicare Advantage plan doesn't cover their doctors. It's just so easy to choose the wrong plan. And Medicare mistakes can cost you thousands. Yes, thousands. But my trusted partner Chapter makes Medicare simple. When you need to choose a Medicare plan, you should call these guys. Many of you already have and have saved a lot of money. I like these guys because they're independent. They're the only national advisor that compares and recommends every Medicare plan. And they've helped a lot of people save over $1,100 on their healthcare cost. People are pretty relieved when they talk to Chapter. They won't push you to get a plan that you don't need. They're really there just to help. If you're on Medicare or will be soon, contact Chapter with the phone number here on the screen or the link down below in the pinned comment. They'll help you understand the different plans, different enrollment options, and find you ways to save money on your healthcare. So share this video with other people so they can get this information, and subscribe down below and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on future videos. I will keep you up to date on everything. Click here to see what President Donald Trump is going to spend hundreds of billions of dollars on. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next